right, thank you, Brian, and welcome everyone to this June 12, 2023 meeting of the Homewood City Council. We're going to start tonight with a proclamation. Recognize Mr. Douthit. So I'll hand it over to the mayor.
Can I just say real quickly,
Sure.
as the Ward 4 rep and you as the previous Ward 4 rep and Jalit as the current Ward 4 rep, we are so grateful for you, Charlie. You took two newbies when we first came on and kind of helped us figure out what in the world this whole relationship was, and you were so helpful to us all the time. And I'm just so grateful for all of your guidance and your wisdom, and we are just so thankful for 10 years of really solid service. So thank you.
Charlie, come join me. And I'll read this proclamation, then we can have your family up for a photo and things like that. So, whereas Mr. Charlie Douthit has served on the Homewood Board of Education from June 2013 to May 2023, and whereas Mr. Charlie Douthit has served as board member, vice president, and president of the board during his two-term maximum, and whereas Mr. Charlie Douthit has been instrumental in accommodating Homewood City Schools' student growth through additions and renovations for all 5 city schools. Whereas Mr. Charlie Douthit is involved in navigating Homewood City Schools through a global pandemic. Whereas Mr. Charlie Douthit was also active in the hiring of a new superintendent. Whereas the mayor and city council appreciate the vital role of individuals who, as local board members, establish policies to ensure efficient and effective systems. Now, therefore, I, Patrick McCluskey, mayor of the city of Homewood, Alabama, do hereby express my sincere appreciation and thanks to Mr. Charlie Douthit for his contributions to the city and commend him for the manner in which he has carried out his responsibilities as a member of the Homewood Board of Education. So,
thank you, Mayor.
Congratulations. Thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Look, hey, guys, I know you have an agenda to tend to, but I need a couple of hours to just tell you thank you for all the things that you've done with the collaboration with the Homewood City Schools Board of Education, including Mike Kendrick when we first floated the bond issue. We have new park, we have new schools. Again, it's a collaborative effort, and Mayor, you left out one vital part of on the proclamation, and that was Charlie Douthit and fellow board members, because I certainly didn't do it with myself and the administration of the schools. But anyway, I just appreciate what you guys do for our city, and I just ask you to stay the course and keep it up. Thank you. I appreciate it. Come on.
Yeah.
You can bring as many as you
It's
want.
it's my fan club.
Bring as many as you want.
Your fan club.
Let's go.
It's the only ones that can
He's
show
like,
up.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Taking a solo shot. All right, brother.
Hey, we'll see you around.
Oh, yeah. Have a good one. Thank y'all. Thank you again.
I mean, I was like,
All right, uh-huh.
I'm like,
That's what I always do. I just do not want to be the wallpaper in the picture.
All right. So I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. We're going to start tonight with an invocation from Ms. Smith, and that'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will please stand.
Bow your heads and pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come to you today with humility and faith to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, and to represent all members of our community fairly. We thank you for all that you've given us and the many blessings in our lives. We ask for your guidance and your strength. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. We ask all of these things in your name. Amen.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Salter, if you'll please call roll.
Yes, sir. Counselor Gwaltney?
Here.
Counselor Gear? Here. Counselor Allamon?
Here.
Counselor Wolverton?
Here.
Counselor Sims?
Here.
Counselor Jones?
Here.
Counselor Smith?
Here.
Counselor Nelms,
Here.
Counselor Andrus.
Here.
Counselor Harden,
Here.
and President Wyatt.
Here.
Got everybody tonight.
All right. Next, we have the reading of the minutes from our meeting of May 22, 2023. Those have been distributed previously. I would entertain a motion and a second to dispense with the reading of those minutes and for approval of the same.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we've got a motion by Ms. Smith. Who was the second down there? Ms. Nelms? And a second by Ms. Nelms. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And those are approved 11-0. Next, we have some board vacancies. We have a Ward 1 Library Board spot that we need to open. This is one where the incumbent is eligible for another term. So we will go ahead and open that for 2 weeks to June 26th at 4:30. We also have a Ward 3 Historic Preservation position that I think we had resignation on. Do you want a month for that, or do you want 2 weeks, or?
Let's go ahead and do a month.
Okay. And it's going to be actually a little more than a month just because of the 4th of July. So we'll open that one up until July 17th at 4:30. All right, there are no additions to the agenda tonight, so we will go straight to the consent agenda. I would entertain.
But we have to have approval.
Sorry,
approval
I need
agenda.
to approve, would entertain a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Gwaltney, second from Mr. Wolverton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? As approved, 11-0. Now we'll go to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Harden, second by Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is also 11-0, which brings us to the old business agenda. First item, 080523, public hearing set for tonight for consideration of economic development incentives located at 195 Oxmoor Road and 536 Cobb Street, brought to us by Village Creek Development and SHA LLC. And we will start with a report from Finance. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met on May the 15th, and after deliberation with this, voted 5-0 to refer this to the full council without recommendation pending the public hearing tonight.
All right, thank you very much. With that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing. And I see, I don't know if Mr. Hill or Mr. Walker, y'all want, either one of y'all, if y'all want to come up.
Good evening. My name is Tom Walker. I'm at 1402 Roseland Drive. I'm the president of Village Creek Development. Anyway, I wanted to come up here and just basically answer any questions that council had in regards to the incentives that we're seeking for our project. As you all know, the one thing I'll sort of add before asking for questions is that a significant portion of our project is dedicated to capital improvements that go into the right-of-way of the city. I think we're adding 30 parking spaces into the West Homewood neighborhood, significant connectivity on a pedestrian basis with sidewalks and green spaces that'll be part of our project. And then also we're bringing 2 5,000 square foot restaurants. Paramount and El Barrio will be the tenants, and we are set to close on that this month. This is something that is part of our capital financing requirements, and so as we've sort of navigated through this, we really appreciate the support from the Finance Committee and City Council as they've given us guidance as to how to best structure our request for the city. It's something that mechanism-wise worked through them. So I'm here to answer any questions for you all. The last thing that I would say is that Bradley Arant, who is our attorney that we've engaged to help us navigate through this incentive process, has put together an economic development or an economic forecast for the city and sort of and helping to understand what would this look like for the city without our project happening, and then versus what it actually looks like if we move forward with it. And so the short answer is if for just ad valorem tax to the city of Homewood, they could expect around $500,000 over the next 10 years, a lodging tax of about $1 million. We're asking for $1.5 million in tax incentives from the city. So a couple of those things together, our project is anticipated to have a net economic benefit to the city of $6.5 million. So our net interest or net add to the city is about $3.5 million inclusive of our asks. And the other thing that I would tell you is that the majority of what we're asking for is based off sales tax revenue from the restaurant tenants. And it's been very clear to us that these restaurants have to stay open. It has to be these very particular restaurants that do stay open. And that's all part of the development agreement. Trey's here to answer any questions about that you guys might have. That's the short summary of it. We appreciate y'all's consideration, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Just before we get any questions, let me ask, is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? If not, then I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and ask if there are any questions or comments from council or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Allen, second from Mr. Wolverton. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11-0 and will be resolution 2373. All right.
Thank you all very much.
All right, next item, 060423, public hearing set for tonight for consideration to vacate a portion of unnamed city right-of-way adjacent to 328 Redfern Street, brought to us by David Mitchell and Wyatt Pugh. And we'll start with a report from Special Issues. Ms. Smith.
This happened about a month and a half ago, so I don't have the actual minutes, but I'm just going to take a stab at it. We met at some point in the past and voted to send this out without recommendation pending the public hearing, which was set for tonight.
How about, you want me to fill in some details, because I actually have it
That
on
would be
mine.
awesome. Yes, that would be great.
You tell me if this sounds right to you.
Sure.
I think y'all met on April 24th, and that there was a 5-0 vote to refer it to council without recommendation.
That sounds 100% correct.
All right.
I'll go with that.
All right. So with that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing on this item. And I don't know who's here to speak to this one.
Do you mind just signing in on that? Okay, thank you.
I'll be brief. My name is Bob Folks. I'm at 1601 Grove Place. I'm working with Mr. Mitchell here about a vacation of the right-of-way. Mr. Mitchell recently bought the house at 328 Redfern. If you know where it is, there's a big pool in the back of it, and there's a big wall as well. I think that pool's been there since 1996. That's what we kind of think. The pool's been there about the same amount of time. And Mr. Mitchell is adding on to the house, and then wants to kind of work on the pool area, get it replastered, do some work on the wall, and during that process found out that the wall was within the right-of-way, so he could not do any work. So kind of going through the process, doing our due diligence, we have decided to try to vacate the right-of-way. I have some pictures if y'all want to see them. Mr. Mitchell is not changing anything with respect to the existing pool, not changing anything with respect to the existing wall that's behind the pool. He simply needs to kind of get this vacated so that he can kind of, I think, basically just repaint it. But y'all probably hear enough from me. I'll let you ask any questions to Mr. Mitchell. Introduce yourself.
I'm David. Hello.
I have a question.
Yeah, Mr. Hart.
Did your survey show, when you bought the house, did it show that wall was in the right of way?
I've bought a lot of things over the years, and when I bought that house, I was using Waygan as my surveyors, and he was about 2 months out. And when I had a deal on the house, someone else stepped in and wanted to buy it, and I kind of backed out. They called me back and said, if you wanted it, it's still yours. And so I stepped back in and didn't have time to do the survey. I didn't wait on it anyway. So I bought the house without the survey. So you know how that works. But then I found out, yeah, the wall was built on your right of way, yeah.
The house, though, it's way at the top of a hill. It's probably 20 feet off the road at the top of a hill. And there's forest, there's a hillside and a forest that leads
Yes, ma'am.
down to the road. So it's, I mean, just in terms of proximity, it's not, there's no next door neighbor, there's nothing like that, correct?
That's correct. There's a neighbor behind me, but of course we spoke with all of them, and it's been there for a long time. It's a big wall, as you can, I think you can see. Yes, ma'am, it runs right up to a cliff as it comes down onto Broadway right there. So it's kind of a dead end when the right of way stops right there.
And Mr. Mitchell, the driveway that comes off of Broadway, does that go up to the back of your house? Or is that a driveway for a totally different property? That's probably the back door neighbor that you're talking about.
It is.
Okay, because your house is the yellow house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's the yellow house. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my driveway comes down to Redfern.
Okay, comes right to Redfern. Okay, gotcha.
Those pictures that I'm passing out show the existing, I mean, again, Mr. Mitchell's not doing anything, changing anything at all. It shows the existing wall.
And to clarify,
Yeah.
And do we,
Mr. Gwaltney?
thank you, Mr. President. To clarify, this is the wall facing the alley, correct? Or is it the wall on the Broadway side? From the satellite view, I can't tell. It looks like it would be the wall facing the rear alley.
The picture that you're seeing right there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the pool deck, and then behind it is the alley, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
I mean,
Thank you.
Ms. Smith?
is there a financial consideration that's involved in this vacation?
So, I would think so.
I think we're required by state law.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
We
think-
we can't just vacate it. Without that, Mr. Pugh? Sure. You look like you've got an answer.
I do. Brian, if you'll put that exhibit back up, please, that you had. That was it, the first one. There we go. So this is a calculation I did based on the assessed values of the two properties that abut the alley. Based on that, one of them comes out to 3 square foot per acre, the other one comes out to 50 cents per square foot. Not per acre, per square foot, 50 cents per square foot. So after you do the calculation, it comes out to about $2,000. $2,075. Yes, sir.
And he's getting one half of that?
He gets half and the neighbor gets half.
Yeah. Is the neighbor buying the other half?
I think Mr. Mitchell's gonna buy the whole.
Yeah, it's my understanding that I was buying the whole thing. I don't think they were interested in it.
Well, that's between you and him.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can only do one thing with it, which is to both of you. What y'all do between you is,
Somebody's gotta pay $2,000.
yeah.
Compared to that.
Okay, Mr. Sims?
Yes, I just had a question about, are the power poles also back there? Is there a utility easement?
The power pole, because the right-of-way comes behind my house and then goes over down to Broadway, the last power pole is before you get to my house and then goes to my house. But since it goes over a cliff, there's nothing that goes through my yard because there's nowhere to go. So, no, there's no power poles. And we spoke with all
Yeah, we have the.
Yeah, the power company issued a letter of no objection.
Okay, thanks.
Part of the process.
I remember working with some residents where they had an issue with the utility easement being maintained, and so I was just wondering if that was.
The resolution provides it does not convey any utility easements.
All right. Any other questions? Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this item? I'll close the public hearing and ask if,
I'd make a motion for unanimous consent.
Second.
it's just a resolution. Yeah.
Okay, then I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion from Ms. Smith, second from Ms. Andrus. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any,
No, I just want to make sure the contingency of the payment is part of that motion.
yeah, it's in the resolution. Yeah.
I said aye.
I thought that's what I heard. All right. So that is 11-0 and will be resolution 2374. All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. All right, next item, 140523, public hearing set for tonight for consideration of sign variances at 2724 18th Street South, brought to us by George Barber and Wyatt Pugh. Ms. Smith, I don't think there is a report.
There is not a
because,
report because there was no quorum, so the meeting, special issues meeting did not happen last Monday. So I guess we're hearing about this for the first time tonight.
We are. All right, so with that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing, and if I recall correctly, is it the artist?
The
or is
artist.
The artist that did the sign was unavailable tonight. He was at the meeting, at the committee meeting. He was going to be out of town tonight.
Yeah.
So Mr. Pugh is bringing the information, but just so everybody knows, he did try to come talk to us, but it was our fault that we didn't, since we didn't have a quorum. So anyway,
All
Mr.
right.
Pugh, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure thing. Brian, if you don't mind pulling up that, there we go. The issue here is that these are existing signs. The ordinance permits one wall sign per storefront in the downtown district. Well, there's not one on the technical front. There are wall signs on both sides. The ordinance will permit one wall sign. There are three, if you count the image of the little barber's, whatever you call that thing. The proposal here is to replace the big sign on the right that says Homewood Barber Shop. It's going back with a sign that proposed to go back with a sign that's exactly the same size. It just looks like that. But since it's a total sign replacement, it's not just a refurbish or reface or anything like that. It is technically, they're taking it down and putting up a new sign. I can't technically issue a permit without a variance. And I don't want to set up, I'm careful about setting precedents.
Right. And let me just restate it to make sure I
Yes.
understand. So first of all, is this going to be the only sign on the building, or is the sign on the other side still going to
It's
exist?
going to stay as is.
Okay, so is this a variance for number as well?
Well, yes, I think it would be because
Okay.
they're making changes.
And then the one that's being replaced is the same size as the one that's coming down, but because it's a new sign, it needs a new variance to go with this sign
It does.
for size
Because it's size and location
and location. Okay.
on the front.
And let me go back to the number of signs. It's one sign per storefront,
Yes,
and so he's really, in a sense, he's doing side front. I mean, two
He's
sides, but no real storefront
Right.
all throughout.
so he has three wall signs on two sides rather than one on the front. So it's, it's existing, it's been there a long, long time.
Yeah.
It predates the ordinance. Yeah.
But it's not being grandfathered, right?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I was thinking
I
that.
don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
So
'Cause
so
it's
there's not a
complete-
number variance because it's,
They're already,
okay.
Because there is a sign, it is grandfathered.
yeah. 'Cause they
Okay.
were there before before the ordinance existed.
So I think your original statement was correct, it's additional sign and size.
Right.
And I assume from what that looks like, it's just painted on a board. It's not illuminated, it's not
That's right.
anything else. Okay.
It's not even externally illuminated.
Yeah. It's just up there. Yeah, because they're not open at night, so why would it be? Yeah.
All right. Any other question? Well, let me first ask if there's anyone else here to speak for or against this item. I'll close the public hearing. Any other questions or comments from council?
My only question would be that ultimately, if we vote this down, then he can't put any sign on that side at that
No,
point.
he can
Or
leave the
keep the
existing-
one that he already has.
Yeah,
He can leave the one that he's got.
That would be the only alternative, yeah. So he would,
So,
in a way, be unable to update his sign unless he's just gonna refurbish the old one.
Just
Well, he
make
could
To
take
keep
them
the number of
down.
signs. I'm just getting
He,
clarification on.
he could take the other one down, the other two down,
yeah, so
to
I think
become in
there,
compliance.
Yeah, and then just,
well, yeah, so let me make sure that we're all correct on this. And Mr. Kendrick, correct me if I'm wrong when I say this. But if we, if we deny if we were, for example, to grant the variance as to size but not as to number, well, that's what I'm making sure, that that wouldn't work because the other ones are already grandfathered in.
All the signs, existing signs are grandfathered, they've been there for years.
So he could just leave all three signs where they are, and repaint that one, and it'd be fine.
Correct.
Correct.
repaint the new way or
No, I mean,
make
he
it
just,
look kind of just update
not change the sign.
not change the sign, but freshen it up.
Correct. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? All right. So then, does anyone have any other questions, or does anyone have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Andrus, a second from Mr. Harden. No questions or comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
That is 10-1, and will be resolution 2375.
Was that Andrews that said?
It was.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Pugh. Next item, 050423, request to set a bid date for the City Hall parking deck repairs and restorations project, brought to us by Mr. Pugh, and a report from Finance. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met June the 5th and voted 3-0 to recommend setting a bid opening date for this for July the 18th, 2023 at 2 p.m. And the rest of this will be carried over in committee, but that was a motion to set the bid opening date.
All right, so we will set the bid opening for that time. Next item, 090523, request for consideration to amend fiscal year 22-23 budget, brought to us by Cale Smith, Berkeley Squires, Chief Ross, Robert Brigette, and Melody Salter. And another report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met, voted 3-0 to recommend approval of this item.
All right, so we have a motion from Finance. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is 11-0, and will be resolution 2376. Next item, 100523, request for permission to schedule bid opening on July 10, 2023 at 4:31 p.m. for the Salter Road Pocket Park project, brought to us by Cale Smith, and another report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met, voted 3-0 to recommend setting the bid opening date for July 10th at 4:31, and then we're carrying the rest over in committee.
All right, so we will set that bid opening date for that time. Next item, 120523, request to authorize the mayor to sign maintenance agreement with Motorola for the public safety radio system, brought to us by Chief Hill, and another report from Finance, Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Finance Committee met, voted 3-0 to recommend approval of this item.
All right, so we have a motion from Finance. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is 11-0, and will be resolution 2377. Next item, 130523, request for permission to work in the city right-of-way along Evergreen Avenue and Highland Road, brought to us by Cale Smith, and we'll start with a report from Public Works. Mr. Wolverton.
Yes, the committee met and voted 3-0 to recommend approval pending the proper indemnification agreement. The motion was made by Councilor Harden and seconded by Councilor Nelms.
All right, so we have a motion from Public Works. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is also 11-0, and will be resolution 2378. Which brings us to the committee referral agenda. I would entertain a motion and a second for approval of that agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Gwaltney, second from Ms. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11-0, which brings us to other new business. First item, 110623, request to set a public hearing for consideration to approve a final development plan for 169 and 173 Oxmoor Road. The applicant is Under Vulcan LLC, and the owner is Under Vulcan LLC, for the proposed redevelopment of an existing two-story office building as the site for a new mixed-use development comprising a combination of retail restaurant uses on the ground floor and office space on the second floor, as well as appropriate parking, landscaping, and other site improvements. This comes to us from the Planning Commission with a vote of 6-0 with a favorable recommendation, and from Cale Smith. So we will set that public hearing for July 10th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Next item, 120623, request to authorize the mayor to sign facilities use agreement, brought to us by Cody Glickson of Key Assistance Location Manager and J.J. Bischoff. This is, do we have, come on up. There were some timing issues with this item, which is why it's not going to committee. So go ahead and tell us what you got.
Okay, so yeah, we're with a movie that's filming here in the Birmingham area. We're currently filming out at Susan Moore right now, but there's forecast for terrible storms the next couple days. So what we're proposing is to use the jail tomorrow as a filming location for one of our cover sets for the safety of our crew. We've arranged with the Trinity Methodist Church a place for us to park our base camp and our crew parking off-site. So what we're asking to do is use the facility tomorrow as a filming location.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments?
Is the new jail or the old jail?
Old jail.
The old jail, cool.
Do we all get to come watch Matthew
Yeah.
McConaughey film? Because that'd
Yeah.
sweeten the deal.
That's super cool.
Some of us might.
The old jail.
I'd make a motion to approve.
All right. Motion for Ms. Smith, second for Mr. Gwaltney. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that is approved 11-0 and will be resolution 2379.
Are you Mr. Gilchrist?
Is the date tomorrow? You gonna film tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
You also need to sign this. Somebody needs to. This agreement that
Do we have somebody, I guess we have somebody to open up the building.
No. After you sign, give it back to them.
Thank you.
All right. And our last item is 130623, request for consideration of approval of vouchers for the period of May 2023 through June 12, 2023, brought to us by Robert Brigette and Melody Salter. Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I reviewed the vouchers, and they were all in order. I had lots of questions, and we've had a lot of expenditures on the west side of 18th Street, but those are going to be coming back to us eventually. But I would move for approval of the vouchers.
All right, so we have a motion from Mr. Jones, a second
Second.
from Ms. Smith. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is also 11-0 and will be resolution 2380. All right, which brings us to the end of the agenda tonight. Mr. Mayor?
Can
you got any
I ask
comments?
a question quickly?
Yeah, Mr. Harden?
Usually we do the bid opening dates, usually on our meeting, and you did it on the 18th. Is that on purpose? That's a Tuesday.
That's a Sunday, or
It's a Tuesday, I think.
of June or July?
I think it's a
July.
Tuesday. Yeah. So I think that was the date that was requested
Okay.
by the
That's no
city.
problem.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we had the right date.
Yep. No, thank you. All right. One quick thing before we make sure I say this right. All right, so next Monday is Juneteenth, so we will not have committees that day. So when you're setting committees, we are setting them for before council on the 26th. We'll do both committees and council that night. So, so anyway, just consider that as you're going through there. Mr. Gwaltney? He didn't have any.
Oh, okay, I missed that. I don't have anything either, but I will set public safety immediately following finance.
What time is finance starting?
Yeah, I only have one item. I don't anticipate public safety, well, one existing item as well, but we can carry it over if need be.
I have one item, but there's that. There's the planning and development.
I have to set my
Yeah,
committee.
I think if everyone can do four would be better.
And I think I'm going to be heading up finance for Walter, so I'm happy to move mine to 4, if that, yeah.
You're doing finance at 4?
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot of items on the committee referral agenda, and there are a couple of committees that are probably going to take a little while. So I would rather make sure we get enough time if everyone's good with that.
So finances will start at 4 and then public safety will follow finance?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry, Mr. Gwaltney, did you have anything else, or is that it?
No, sir. I'm
Okay.
good. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Gear.
Did we skip the mayor?
He said he did. I think what we're just saying is no one listens to you.
I don't have anything.
Oh, my gosh.
I really don't have anything.
And neither do I, thank you.
Well, I would like to congratulate the mayor on graduating from Leadership Birmingham this year. So I think that's commendable and demonstrating his already proven leadership. We're lucky to have him as mayor. I want to thank everyone for all the grace that has been given to me over the past few weeks. I've been out a little bit due to work and personal reasons, but I'll be out starting next Tuesday for 3 weeks. I'm trying to bring my nephew from Nicaragua on a student visa, so I appreciate your grace and your willingness to just help me, help and support me. I appreciate any prayers and thoughts as we go through this process, and hopefully on July 9th, he'll come back with me. Thank you.
Exciting news. Mr. Wolverton.
I will set Public Works. It looks like there's 2 items, I believe, both 18th Street for after public safety. And then I just want to wish my wife and my 7-year-old, soon to be 8-year-old, happy birthday. Their birthdays will be Friday and Saturday. So, end of the week.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Sims.
I just want to remind everyone that there's 2 vacant positions or open positions for beautification board. That's Ward 3 and at large that close on the 26th of this month. So please spread the word about that for those appointments. And also, leading up to next Monday in Juneteenth, that'll be the first time the city of Homewood actually celebrates that. So be a monumental occasion, and grateful for the leadership and bringing that forward and celebrating as a holiday. And also just wanted to wish everyone happy Pride Month as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
So I'll let you set finance in. My fiscal year is ending next week, so I'll be out of town the following week, so I apologize for that. Thank you for the committee who put together the options. I know that was a lot of work, and so thank you. It's going to make our job much easier to have all of the data and have resources available to us to kind of work through that. And then one kind of funny note is I parked on the Valley Avenue and waited for them to open up the turn lane so I could be the first person to drive the turn lane.
That's awesome.
That was a monumental occasion.
That's
And a lot of people followed me. A lot of people. So
You're a leader.
So I'm a leader. That's a long time coming. It's the last project, hopefully, with that. But I'm sorry, Ward 1 representative. You could have. I know, I should have told you, but you can drive on it now. So anyway, that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Smith.
So finance at 4, and then I have 1 item for special issues, so I'll set that to follow Public Works. And in combination with the fact that we are celebrating Juneteenth for the first time in the city, we're also going to be taking the opportunity for the weekend to install our new chiller on the roof of City Hall. So we've got to do some pretty significant communication with folks, because we're going to be shutting down the lower parking lot in back all the way from end to end Thursday night. Hopefully after the restaurants close, we're thinking then. And then and also from crosswalk to crosswalk on the upper parking lot, because there's going to be a 500-ton crane on the bottom parking lot, because if they put it on the top parking lot, it would fall through into the parking deck below. So can't do that. But they also can't have anybody, they can't also have anybody underneath where they're going to be booming the 100-ton chiller across the way onto the roof. So if you have a chance, communicate with folks that the parking lot will be closed, and it will stay. So they're going to put the crane together on Friday morning. They'll start doing the boom work as soon as they get the crane in position and put together. And I believe the plan is that they will do all the booming and the moving and the putting in place Friday, with the hope that on Saturday they'll finish that up. But then there will nobody can be in the building, well, because there won't be any air conditioning mostly, through the weekend and on Monday, because they'll still be doing all the connecting and electrical work that is required to get that chiller up and running. It's going to be fantastic. When it's done, we're actually going to be able to save some money finally, but it's going to be a production. And if people have small children that they want to come watch that, that should be entertaining.
So Berkeley.
Yeah.
Yes, from a distance, please.
So the parking lot, this parking lot is gonna be the upper end.
The lower parking lot will be blocked the entire length for the crane, because that's where the crane is going to be sited. It's going to close Thursday night and will be closed until they get the chiller in place so that they can take the crane, because they have to then disassemble the crane and then haul the crane back out. The crane is going to be coming in from this end, from, what is that, 29th place? Yes, in front of Dave's Pizza, because they'll have to, it's the straightest way, and we're going to have some police officers. That's going to be at like 6 a.m. It's going to be early. And we're going to have some police officers helping with the traffic part of that. And then, yes, the upper parking lot will be blocked from the crosswalk to crosswalk, because that's the area where the chiller will be coming across on the boom of the crane. Yes.
And getting down below, they can come in across from Dimitri's if they're going into the deck.
Yes, they can come in at the front of the building, and it is my understanding that because that's going to be going on in the back, that's not going to affect anything, the restaurants or anything up here in the front of the building. But and then there won't be anybody allowed to be in this building through the length of the project, mostly because it'll be 1,000 degrees with no air conditioning. But that should be the hope is that everything is connected, up and running by Monday with all the testing, so that by Tuesday morning everything is good to go.
I was gonna say, somehow we need to give notice both to the restaurants, all the people back on this side, and people who might park there and leave their car there overnight kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to send out some robo messages. I'm going to talk to JJ after that to see the best ways. And he has been communicating, like we've already communicated with there's been lots of communication happening, but we're going to continue that.
No, both of these lots are 3-hour lots.
Yeah,
anyway.
so, and y'all just
They
need
should turn
to,
over.
if you have a chance to communicate with residents about the fact that this is going to be happening, that would be awesome, because I'm going to be doing the same. But it'll just help us, because I think, basically what they said is if there's cars, there won't be room for them to bring the crane in, so they've got to have the cars gone. So, there we go.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Nelms?
I don't have much, but my twins, Deborah and Diane, turned 17 on Juneteenth.
Oh.
So they're Juneteenth babies, and we'll be celebrating that.
Ms. Andrus?
Yes, so I am going to set P&D to follow. We do have a couple of items there. I do have to tell the mayor that the class of 2020 is the best class ever. Sorry, I have to make that joke. Everyone in Leadership Birmingham does. Wednesday, Nick and Kale and myself are going to Boston to attend. We all received grants to attend a conference on walkability and connectivity, which is, as you know, my passion. So I'm very excited about that. It's going to be at Harvard University, and there's 9 people going from Birmingham. Is that right?
Yeah, I think
that's
right.
I think there were
like 5, and then it jumped up.
It did jump up, yeah.
So I think you're right.
Yeah, someone from the Freshman Land Trust, somebody from the
Birmingham Housing Authority,
yeah.
City of Birmingham.
Yeah. So we're really very excited about that. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. So looking forward to that. It's my favorite city in the world. So looking forward to that.
My daughter lives there. She needs to have y'all over for dinner.
I'm gonna barge in on her. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Hard.
I also want to thank the committee that did all this work on the city manager. I advocated it as part of my mantra when I ran, and I tell everybody that I think Mayor McCluskey got into the mayor's thing, and about 2 weeks into it, he said, "Man, for what I'm getting paid, this is way too much work," So, but but anyway, I'm very grateful for that. We went on a trip to Iceland, and my son had been in Italy for Auburn for the semester. We get to the Iceland Border Patrol after you get off the plane, and he's right in front of me, and he got the one border guy that started looking at his passport back and forth. Finally, he stands up, turns his light off, gets out of his booth, takes my son and takes him somewhere. And I go up to the next booth I could get to, and I said, "Where's my son?" She just kind of did that. I said, "I need to know where you took him." And they put him in a holding cell. And so anyway, turns out there's a thing called the Shenzhen zone, and he had a 90-day period he could be in that, and out of a 180-day period, and he did not have any understanding of that, and so luckily he had only been in it 82 days, and we were 8 days in, but they figured it out, so they know who's coming in. They got on that electronics and came up with his 82 days, so they're following us. I want everybody to know that.
All right, I just wanted to also thank the committee that looked into the city manager and did all that research. Councilor Alamon, Meredith Drennan, Kent Haynes, Chief Hill, Andrea Snyder, all did just a fantastic job, really put in a lot of long hours coming to that report. That report, as well as the PowerPoint that we used at the committee on the whole, will be on the website as soon as Brian comes up for air after this, so it'll either be tonight or tomorrow, and for anyone in the city to go look at, and it's got a lot of good information on it. And now we'll sort of pass it along to us through the Finance Committee and start working on what we think about it and how we want to move forward. And so I think that will involve a number of meetings. I don't think, as I said in the committee, I don't think it's anything that should be done quickly. I don't think it should take too long, but I think we should move about it deliberately and take the time we need in order to come up with what we think the city should move forward with or not, and try to, with a goal towards, if we're doing something that requires a referendum because it's a change in the form of government, that we're looking towards the beginning, sort of the first quarter of 2024 for that referendum, and which would allow us, if it passes, to make all the adjustments that we need to make between then and the election in August of 2025, and get everything in place for whatever the new government is to take their seats in November of 2025. So, but the first step was this, with all the information, and like I said, that group really did a great job of putting in a lot of hours and working hard, so I very much appreciate it. All right, so with that, we will see everyone. Oh, one more thing. We're obviously not voting on it tonight, but just so everyone knows, we won't have a meeting on July 3rd because that's a Monday, and July 4th is the next day. Fortunately, there are 5 Mondays in July, so we'll just move everything off a week. We'll require a vote next time, but just to give everyone some heads up. All right, so with that, we'll see everybody in a couple weeks.
So am I good to add that to any business?
You were perfect.